Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Potara Podcast. And today, we're heading back to the world of MHA with a continuation of one of our more popular stories, being What If Deku and Shoto Were Twins? Today, we'll be covering the events of the Quirk Apprehension Test arc and the Battle Trial arc. And with that, let's get started. We resume our tale right where we left off, with Izuku and Shoto managing to get into UA High School, their father's alma mater. But Yumi then suggests that Izuku go and call Kendo and see if she got her results from UA, with the crimson-haired boy heading outside to do so, since he wants his call to be private. Izuku dials in Kendo's number, with the orange-haired girl picking up, saying, "Hey Izuku, what's up?" As Izuku asks his friend if she managed to get her test results back from UA, with Kendo saying that she managed to get into the hero course, scoring 5th on the practical exam, with Izuku revealing that he got the top score on the practical exam, as Kendo congratulates her friend as the two hang up. Izuku heads inside, with Fuyumi asking Izuku if Kendo got into UA as well, as the crimson-haired boy says that she did. She even got into the same class that he and Shoto did, being class 1A. Fuyumi then suggests that Izuku invite her over for dinner to celebrate such an accomplishment, with Izuku saying that he'll ask her the next time they have class. After this, Izuku receives a call from All Might asking him to meet him at Dagoma Beach, with this interaction going pretty much as canon. The next class day, Izuku decides to go talk to Kendo to ask her if she wants to come over to his house for dinner to celebrate the two of them and Shoto getting into UA, with Kendo agreeing, saying that she's free this weekend. Izuku says that's great and he'll let Fuyumi know so she can get prepared. Izuku heads home after class and lets Fuyumi know the news, with Izuku heading to his room to practice the new moves he learned in class. A few minutes pass as Izuku hears a knock at his door. Izuku then heads to the door, being revealed to be his sister, saying that dinner is ready. A few days pass, as with Kendo arriving at the Todoroki abode for dinner to celebrate the 3 kids getting into Class 1A at UA High School. Kendo swaps out with Ojiro in this timeline, taking seat number 6, since Kendo kinda handles his martial arts gimmick, and it also helps contribute to the gender imbalance problem in 1A. Kendo knocks at the door, with Izuku being the one to answer the door, saying that it's good to see his friend, as Fuyumi announces that dinner is ready, with the twins getting their favorite foods to celebrate the 3 getting into UA. Dinner is relatively uneventful, except for Fuyumi teasingly asking Izuku if he has a crush on Kendo, with Izuku's face turning as red as his hair, and NG meeting Izuku's friend for the first time. NG was always focused more on Shoto's training rather than Izuku's life, since NG considered Izuku a failure for not being able to manifest a quirk initially, despite being the product of a quirk marriage. NG then asked Kendo and Izuku how their classes are going, with Izuku telling his father how he managed to learn a move that can temporarily disable an opponent's limbs, although his sensei told him to only use it as a last resort. After dinner, Izuku then says goodbye to Kendo and that he'll see her at UA. 3 weeks would pass from there, with the twins heading off to UA High School, with the 2 taking the train and arriving in UA after a while. The twins then find Kendo, with the 3 talking and fighting in their classroom, with Shoto taking his seat in the back, while Kendo takes his seat right up front. Izuku then starts to head to his seat, but not before he notices the blue-haired boy from the entrance exam arguing with the blonde boy from the sludge villain incident, with the 2 arguing about the latter putting his feet on his desk. The blue-haired boy notices Izuku, as his attention switches immediately from the blonde to the redhead, with the blue-haired boy walking towards him saying, "Good morning! My name is Tenga Ida from the..." With Izuku saying that he heard his introduction earlier, introducing himself as Izuku Todoroki. with Tenya asking if he's related to the pro hero Endeavor. Izuku then says that Endeavor is his father. Tenya apologizes for his previous treatment of Izuku and commends him for seeing what he had not during the practical exam. That saving others was just as important as defeating the villains. Tenya even goes on to say that Izuku is a superior student. After a few minutes of talking, the brown-haired girl from the entrance exam approaches them, with the girl saying that she recognizes that messy red hair. With the girl saying that punch was amazing, Izuku being a bit flustered at this. While Izuku is a bit more confident with talking to girls, thanks to Fuyumi and Kendo, he still gets a bit flustered on occasion. Some time passes, with a homeless-looking man in a sleeping bag appearing at the door saying, "If you're here just to make friends, you can pack up your stuff now." With the trio being shocked at his presence, with the man welcoming his students to a UA's hero course, before drinking a juice pouch and introducing himself as Shota Aizawa, their homeroom teacher. Aizawa then hands out a set of gym uniforms to the students, saying for them to change into the gym uniforms and meet him outside on the PE field. The class does as told, with the brown-haired girl asking if they're going to go to orientation, with Aizawa shutting that down. Aizawa says, "If you want to make the big leagues, you can't be wasting your time with pointless ceremonies." Aizawa then explains that due to UA not being tethered to traditions, he can run his class however he sees fit. Aizawa then approaches Izuku, saying that he got the most points in the practical exam, before asking what his farthest throw in a softball was. That's a junior high, with the crimson-haired boy saying about 50 meters, with Aizawa tossing Izuku a softball, or telling him to throw it using his quirk, saying that as long as he stays in the circle, anything goes. Izuku then activates full cowling at 10% and lines up, throwing the ball and managing to throw it to 800 meters, due to him using his whole arm rather than just his fingertip like cannon. The rest of the class then says that this looks like fun, with Aizawa saying, "Oh, you think this is fun? Then let's make this interesting. The student who gets last place will be expelled." Up next is the 50-meter dash, with Izuku being paired up against Bakugo, and Izuku activates One for All again, using full cowling at 10%, allowing him to clear the finish line before Bakugo, getting a time of 3.5 seconds. Kendo manages to get a score of 5.2 seconds. Since Kendo wouldn't really be able to use her quirk to help with this test, next up is the grip test, or the grip strength test. And this is where Kendo really shines, using her massive hands to score a rather impressive 270 kilograms, while Izuku manages to get 320 kilograms using One for All. Izuku also manages to use 10% of One for All to clear the sandbox, while Kendo tries using her hands to make a sort of fan to give her a boost, just barely clearing the box. Up next is the ball throw, although Izuku already took his throw earlier to demonstrate the concept of the quirk test, but Kendo manages to use her massive hands to launch the ball 500 meters. Up next is a seated toe touch, but Izuku isn't really able to use his quirk on this, so his score is only a bit better than canon, although Kendo manages to use her giant hands to do well. Sit-ups are next, with Kendo being the one to hold Izuku's feet, with Izuku activating One for All to do more sit-ups. And lastly is the distance run, with Izuku managing to get a good score. After a while, Aizawa reveals the scores on his phone, with it being revealed that Izuku manages to get 4th place due to his significantly higher scores than in canon, with Kendo getting 9th place. During this, a short boy with grapes for hair looks for his name, with him discovering his name and was on the last place spot, with Aizawa saying that he was lying and no one was going home. Everyone is shocked at this, with Aizawa saying that it was simply a rational deception to make sure they gave the tests their best. Just then, a girl with long black hair tied in a ponytail says, "I'm surprised none of you figured that out. I'm sorry, I guess I should have said something." Aizawa then says they're done for the day, telling the class to pick up a syllabus and read it before the next day. Afterward, the twins are walking home when they're approached by Ida, with the three deciding to walk home together, with Ida expressing his concerns about Aizawa's approach to teaching. A few minutes pass, with the twins and Ida hearing someone call out for them to wait, with it being revealed to be Kendo and the brown-haired girl from earlier, with the brown-haired girl introducing herself as Ochako Uaraka, with Ochako deciding to call Izuku and Shoto by their first names, since it would be far less confusing than if she were to refer to both of them as Todoroki, with the twins agreeing to this. The next day, Class 1A pretty much goes through the normal school classes, like English, until they get to the Hero Basic Training class in the afternoon. All Might then opens the door saying, "I am here! Coming through the door like a hero!" With the whole class being excited that All Might was really their teacher. All Might then welcomes the students to their most important class in UA, with All Might pulling out a card with the word battle on it. All Might explains that this will be combat training, as All Might says that one of the keys to being a hero is looking good, as All Might hits a button with a bunch of briefcases jutting out of the wall. All Might tells the students to change into their hero costumes and meet him at Ground Beta. Izuku changes into his costume, which is a mix of his canon costume Beta and a martial arts gi in the color scheme of his father's suit. Izuku then meets up with the rest of his class, with Ochako complimenting Izuku on his suit, saying that it's not too flashy. Izuku says that he wanted something that can give him some protection while not limiting his mobility. Izuku then notices Kendo's suit, and that she had decided to go with a sleeveless kipao that allows her to use her quirk and martial arts skills to their fullest capabilities. Kendo then approaches Izuku and notices that he too had his costume made not to limit his mobility, as All Might tries to get the class's attention so he can go over the rules of the exercise. All Might states that the exercise will be an indoor battle. Continues to say that they'll be split into villain and hero groups for a 2-on-2 team battle. All Might then explains the rules of the exercise. The villains will guard a nuclear weapon they intend on deploying, and the heroes must stop their scheme. If the heroes capture the villains or reach the nuclear core before time runs out, they win. If the villains manage to keep the nuclear core for the whole time or they capture the heroes, they win. Ida then asks how they'll decide who's paired up with who, as All Might pulls out a box containing balls with letters on them before instructing the class to come up and grab their lot, as Izuku grabs a ball with the letter A on it. Kendo then approaches Izuku, asking what letter he has, with him replying with A, as Kendo says, "What a coincidence! I've got the other one, which means we're a team, and considering how well we work together, I think we have a solid chance." Ochako then approaches the pair, asking what letters they have, with the pair of friends and saying they both have A, with Ochako saying that she got the letter I, as a girl who appears to be completely invisible taps her on the shoulder, asking if she has the letter I, with Ochako saying that she does, as the girl responds with, "I'm Toru Hagakure, and since we had the same letter, that means we're partners." All Might then asks if everyone has found their partner, before pulling out two other boxes, reading hero and villain respectively. All Might grabs one lot from each box, declaring that Team A will be the heroes, and Team D will be the villains, with the twins looking at each other, as Kendo says, "A battle between brothers? This'll be interesting." Since Shoto was in Bakugo's canon position as Izuku's main rival, I decided to have the twins face off during the battle trial. I also decided to toss Kendo into this battle in place of Uraraka due to her bigger role in the story. All Might tells everyone that isn't battling at the moment to go to the surveillance room, where they'll get a front row seat to all the action. Teams A and D arrive at the battle site, with the villain team getting 5 minutes to go in and set up. Izuku and Kendo decide to use this time to talk strategy, as Izuku says that if it comes to it, he'll use that technique to try and disable uses of Shoto's ice. A few minutes pass as All Might announces for the match to begin, with Izuku deciding to use Kendo's quirk to their advantage, arriving on the second floor of the building. However, since Shoto isn't going to go out of his way to deal with Izuku, the pair of friends advance further up the building. I don't think it would be in character for Shoto to directly go out of his way to fight Izuku like Bakugo did in canon. Izuku and Kendo then arrive on the 5th floor, with Izuku and Kendo arriving in the room where the weapon is being guarded. Izuku tells Kendo to take on Ida, while he handles Shoto, since this is personal. Izuku knows that fighting Shoto on his own turf in this exercise is wise, since he doesn't think Shoto would risk damaging the weapon or hitting his teammate with his ice. Izuku then activates full cowling at 5% and charges at Shoto, with Shoto trying to fire a blast of ice at Izuku. However, Izuku uses a 5% Detroit Smash to break the ice, before launching an uppercut, sending his twin back a bit. Shoto goes on the offensive, blasting his twin with a blast of ice aimed at his feet. However, Izuku jumps back and increases his power output to 10%, firing off a one-for-all enhanced kick to Shoto's gut, knocking the wind out of him for a bit. Izuku goes on the offensive, with Izuku flicking his fingers at Shoto, firing off a gust of pressurized wind at the two-tone boy. Shoto gets back up, firing another ice blast, which Izuku manages to dodge, leaving ice all over the battlefield, which has the unfortunate side effect of causing Ida to slip and fall, allowing Kendo to get the jump on him and restrain him using her massive hands, before pulling out the roll of capture tape that was given to her by All Might, tying up Ida and taking him out of the contest. All Might then declares, "Young Ida is out of the contest." Izuku tells Kendo to make a run for the weapon, while he keeps Shoto occupied. Izuku then pauses, taking a deep breath and performing a series of moves, with Shoto charging in at him. Although this proves to be Shoto's downfall, as Izuku blocks his arm before using the pressure point technique he learned from his sensei to disable Shoto's arm. Kendo notices that Izuku is using that technique, as the orange-haired girl notes to herself, "Wow, Izuku must really want to defeat his brother if he's using the pressure point technique." Shoto asks his brother what he did before going in for another punch, as Izuku blocks it before disabling his other arm. Kendo manages to use his distraction to get to the weapon, touching it and winning the exercise for herself and Izuku. All Might then declares, "The hero team wins!" After the match, Izuku heads over to his twin, congratulating him on a good fight. However, Shoto brushes him off. Ida then comes over, congratulating Izuku and Kendo on coming up with such a good strategy. All Might then declares that Izuku is the MVP, due to his strategical thinking of using Shoto's ice against their team. Up next is Bakugo and Shoji versus Uraraka and Hagakure, with Shoji using his Dupli Arms quirk to figure out where the weapon is, as the two make their way inside. where Bakugo was able to make quick work of both Ochako and Hagakure, allowing them to capture the weapon. And from here, the rest of the matches can honestly go as canon. And with that, we'll leave this timeline off here for right now. So, what did you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. And before I sign off for today, I'd like to thank our patrons. We have Raven Sage, Wayne Singleton, Butter Miller, and Yenziel Cheverez. Thank you so much for your support. And with that, I'll get out of here. Peace.